Alright guys, today we're going to look at how to solve rational equations. Rational equations are equations that have fractions or are made up of fractions. So if you look at example 1, I have 1, 2, 3 fractions. This is a rational equation. To solve rational equations, the first thing you need to do is you need to look at the denominators. So I have 5, 5x, and 5x. What I need to do is find what's called the lowest common denominator, LCD, lowest common denominator. So the lowest common denominator, if I look at what I have 5, 5x, and 5x. Okay, lowest common denominator, most people think that it means the smallest number or the one with the fewest pieces. It's actually the number or term that every other denominator can go into. So if we're looking at 5x, and 5x, I know that 5 can go into 5x, meaning I can divide 5x by 5, and it would get me x, because the 5's would cancel. I can divide 5x by 5x, and it would cancel out, and it would get me 1. But what I can't do is say that 5x goes into 5, meaning if I divide 5 by 5x, I'm still left with a fraction. It would be 1 over x. So when I look at what I have here between 5, 5x, and 5, I know that my lowest common denominator is going to be the 5x's, because 5 can go into them, but they cannot go into 5. Okay? So I know that my lowest common denominator is going to be 5x. So what this means is if I look at my denominators, I need to make sure that every single one of them becomes 5x. Now, 2 of them already are, so I don't need to do anything here or here. I don't need to do anything. But what I do need to do is focus on this one. How do I turn 5 into 5x? Well, I would have to multiply by x. So if I need to multiply this by x to get 5x, I also need to understand that whatever I do to the bottom of a fraction, I have to also do to the top. So I need to multiply 2 by x as well. Again, these pieces are not going to change because I didn't have to change the denominators. So what I have now is 2x over 5x equals 1 over 5x minus x plus 2 over 5x. Now, every single one of my denominators is the same. It's all 5x. So I can actually go ahead and get rid of these denominators and only focus on what's in the numerator, which is 2x equals 1 minus x plus 2. I'm subtracting the entire piece, so I'm going to put that in parentheses. Now this is a very simple equation to solve. All I have to do is distribute the negative, and I have 2x equals 1 minus x minus 2. To solve for x, I'm going to move this negative x over by adding it to both sides. I have 3x equals 1 minus 2, and I can just combine these as like terms. So I have 3x equals negative 1. Now to finish solving this, what I need to do is get x by itself by dividing both sides by 3. And x is going to equal negative 1 over 3. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at the next example. So again, the first thing I need to do is figure out what my lowest common denominator is going to be. If I look at what my denominators are, I have r r, 2, and 2r. So those are my choices, 2r and 2r. I need to figure out which piece I can use as my lowest common denominator. Again, I'm looking for which of these three pieces can the other two go into. What can I divide by everything else? So if I look at 2, I can't divide 2 by r. They don't have anything in common. I can't divide r by 2. That doesn't work either. If I look at 2r, I notice that it has both 2 and r. So I know that 2 goes into 2r. I know that r goes into 2r. So that right there is going to be my lowest common denominator, 2r. Now, what I need to do from here is figure out how do I make all of these denominators 2r. Right here, I don't need to change this denominator. It's good to go. What I do need to do is change r and 2. To make r into 2r, I need to multiply by 2. And whatever I do to the bottom, I also have to do to the top. To make 2 into 2r, I need to multiply by r. And again, whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So now what I have is 2 over 2r plus r over 2r equals 1 over 2r. Now if you notice, all three of my denominators are exactly the same. They're all 2r's. So now I can ignore them and just go ahead and solve what's on the top, which is 2 plus r equals 1. To solve, I would just subtract 2 from both sides. And I find that r equals -1. So in both of these, what we did was we figured out what the lowest common denominator was first. Then we made sure we changed the denominators that needed to be changed so that all of the denominators looked exactly the same. Then we ignored the denominators and solved what was on the top. That's the pattern for solving rational equations. I have 2 more examples. In example 3, I have 1 over 4b minus 1 equals 1 over 4. Now, here it's only showing 2 fractions, these 2 fractions. 1 is not a fraction, but I'm going to need to make it one. To make 1 a fraction, I simply draw a line below it and put a 1 underneath. Because 1 divided by 1 equals 1, so I haven't changed anything. So to find my lowest common denominator, I look at what I have. 4b, 1, and 4. If you look at this, 4b is the only one that has a letter. So I know that I'm going to look at this as probably my lowest common denominator, but I just want to make sure. I can divide 4b by 1. I can also divide 4b by 4. So I know that, in fact, this is going to be my lowest common denominator. Okay. So now what I need to do is change 1 and 4 to make it look like 4b. To get 4b from 1, I need to multiply by 4b. And whatever I do to the bottom, I'm also going to do to the top. To get 4 to become 4b, I need to multiply by b. And this isn't going to change because its denominator is already 4b, so I don't need to worry about it. One over 4b minus 4b over 4b equals b over 4b. Now all of my denominators are exactly the same, and I'm going to worry about the numerators now. 1 minus 4b equals b. To solve, I'm going to add 4b to both sides. I have 1 equals 5b. To get b by itself, all I need to do is divide both sides by 5, and I have b equals 1 over 5. In the last example, I have x plus 4 divided by x equals 2 minus 1/3. To solve this, I need to first make 2 into a fraction, and I do it the same way I made 1 into a fraction in example 3. All I'm going to do is draw a line underneath and put a 1. Now, my denominators are x, 1, and 3. So none of these really have a whole lot in common. I can divide 3 by 1, that's 3. I can't divide 1 by 3 and get a whole number. I can't divide x by 1, I can't divide x by 3. So what I need to do in this case is create a combination by multiplying these together. X times 1 times 3. That's going to be 3x, and that's going to be my lowest common denominator. So if you notice, I'm going to have to change every single one of these, and that's okay. I'm going to start by multiplying the first by by 3. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. And remember, when you have 2 pieces in the numerator, you need to put parentheses around it so you multiply the whole thing. Then I'm going to multiply 1 by 3 and x. And then I'm going to multiply 3 by x and 1 by x. So I'm going to get 3 times x plus 4 equals 3x times 2 is 6x. And then I have negative 1 times x is negative 1x. You don't really need the 1 there. I just wrote it to show you, and I'm going to erase it now. From here, I'm going to solve by just distributing the 3. 3x plus 12 equals 5x. Now what I'm going to do is subtract 5x from both sides. I have negative 2x plus 12 equals 0. I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides to move it over. Negative 2x equals negative 12. And I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. Oops. These will cancel. The negatives will also cancel. And I have x equals 12 divided by 2, which is 6. And these were examples of solving rational equations. Have a great day, guys.